Howdy friends, Bevan Cohen here, and today at Small House Farm, we're getting ready to grow some mushrooms. Okay folks, so what we're doing here is we're gathering up the stuff that we need to grow some shiitake mushrooms. We've been growing shiitake mushrooms at Small House for 3 or 4 years now, and every year at the end of winter, early spring is when we have to head out into the woods to gather some wood. We're going to get some logs to inoculate. The key here, 2 important steps, is 1, we have to be harvesting live wood, right? Fresh cut wood, not something that's been sitting on the ground, already fallen from the year before. That wood has already been colonized by other species of mushrooms, which are going to outcompete our shiitakes. So we have to get live wood. 2, we want to make sure that we harvest our wood while it's still dormant. This is why we head out here in the winter time, early spring. Maple syrup season time is a great time to do it because we're already out in the woods, right? We just want to make sure that we cut it before the leaf buds start to open up while the trees are still dormant. And what we're looking for today is oak trees, hardwood. This is the kind of wood that our shiitakes prefer. We're going to get a much better flush of shrooms if we grow them on some hardwood. So choosing the trees that we're going to cut down is always a difficult task. I don't like cutting down trees if I don't absolutely have to, but sometimes Mother Nature kind of shows us the answer, like she did today. As we were looking around, we found this tree here. This is a big old dead oak tree. It's not going to necessarily work for mushrooms. As you can see, it's pretty dead. Woodpeckers have been having a good time picking some bugs off of it. Now there's bark all over the ground here. But we're going to have to bring this tree down eventually. It's pretty close to the power lines. We're out by the road on the edge of the property here. And this thing could be a danger if we just let it fall on its own. So we're going to have to bring this one down on a different day. That's a whole different adventure, right? It's a pretty big tree. But to get a clear landing spot, it looks like there's a couple trees I'm going to have to bring down. And it just happens to look like that they're oak trees, living, and they're just the right size for mushroom inoculation. So we're in luck today, folks. We've got the trees that we're going to work with. Let's go take a look. All right, this beauty here is going to be the first one that has to come down. And it is a majestic oak, certainly. But it's going to have to go to clear the way. And if we look at it, it's pretty uniform in size from the base most of the way up to the top until it splits up there. So this is absolutely perfect for inoculating shiitake mushrooms. Now when we're looking at this tree up close, we'll see that the circumference of it is about both of my hands around, which is a perfect size for what we're going to work with here. We don't want to get much bigger than that. It's just going to become cumbersome for us to move this log a bunch of times through the inoculation process, and it's going to take the mushroom spores a lot longer to colonize the wood if it's got to work through such a big piece like. So this is absolutely perfect. So we're going to cut this tree down, and then we're going to cut it to lengths. Man, that's a big tree. All right, so we're going to bring our logs that we cut over here to the little mushroom farm, and we're going to stack them up on this pallet. We need to leave the logs to sit for about 2 weeks after we cut them, so their natural defenses start to break down a little bit, make them more susceptible to the shiitake inoculation when that happens. That's going to be the next video. It's probably going to be in a couple of weeks. So the first thing we do is we're just going to stack our logs up here in a little bit of a log cabin formation. You can see I cut them to about, well, they say 3 to 4 feet is ideal. I like to cut them a little closer to 3. Just makes it easier for me. I'm going to have to move them around a bunch of times. The thicker the log, the shorter I tend to cut it, just to make it a little bit lighter. So we're going to get our logs. We're going to stack them up real quick. All right, so we're just going to keep stacking up our logs. We're going to be pulling them out of the woods on this sled. Keep stacking them up in this log cabin fashion until we're about 2-3 layers tall. With the amount of logs that we cut today, we're probably going to use about 2 pallets. So now at this point, we want to make sure that we have our spores. There's a number of reputable online sources for mushroom spores, but we use a company called Field and Forest Products out of Wisconsin. I'll put their information down in the description for this video. Ordering our spores at this time will give us just about enough time for them to ship, and when they arrive, we'll be ready to start inoculating our logs. Right, now here's some of our logs from years past. We stack them right back up in this formation throughout the winter. Helps keep them from drying out a little bit. You can see where we've inoculated them. It's got some wax on there. We'll talk about that in the next video. I just wanted to show you what some of the old logs look like. And after we get them inoculated, we're going to stack them all up in rows on these rails. Now, the logs that we've inoculated today are probably not going to produce fruits until next spring. But if we continue to inoculate logs every season, we'll have a continuous flush of mushrooms all the time. Fast forward a few months, and this is what it's going to look like here. So be sure to tune back in for our next video and subscribe down below if you haven't yet. And tune back in a couple of weeks. We're going to inoculate these logs and grow some shiitakes.